So Mia, hello, welcome to Tallinn, Estonia. You found your way here. Is it your first time here?
Yes, it is. It is. I taught in Edinburgh this year some Estonian students in June during the film festival, and there was a lady from the National Fund from Estonia, and she said, "Oh, we'd like to have you back. Maybe you should come back around the time of the festival." So they invited me then, and I've always heard that this is a good festival, and I've always heard that Tallinn's a beautiful city, so I've always wanted to come. So I'm very happy to be here. It's my first time.
You find Tallinn somehow inspiring, but do you also find things that could be improved?
Well, it's hard. I haven't even been here 24 hours, so I haven't really figured that out yet. I mean, it's inspiring, yeah, in terms of its sort of architectural, geographical location, without a doubt. And I guess if you mean in terms of film, I understand that there is a film industry, but maybe you need a bit more help with international profile, and that's interesting to me. I'm always interested in working with territories that maybe need some help on the international stage.
Of course, we are a small country with maybe much smaller potential as we look at it ourselves. Maybe from outside you see more potential in Estonia, like also Iceland being a very small country, 300,000 people, still large productions coming in there. What kind of potential do you see that we could build up here?
Well, I think it's as I talked about in my presentation about what we're doing in London with Microwave and making micro-budget feature films with new talent, that I think that is obviously you can make films quite cheaply here, and that is an asset. And you obviously have skills and talented people here, so I think there is opportunities to look for to cooperate with other European territories, maybe bigger countries like us, where we can bring in our talent as well, but you have the local expertise, and we can use, rather unusual. I don't think Tallinn or Estonia is particularly well known visually in cinema to worldwide audiences, so there is potential there. Not just necessarily making English language films, but local films too.
How do you see the weather being an issue at all? As we have lots of dark time, we have quite a bit of snow in the winter. And how do you see a filmmaker producer would probably look at this as one of the risks? Like completion bond company would maybe not want to let the large project be filmed in a country that might rain suddenly if it's not filmed in a studio stage. What other kind of risks do you see here that we
Well,
should deal with?
I guess it's a risk for a bigger productions who need to have established conditions, but for smaller films that might not necessarily be tiny budgets but smaller, then they can use the environment artistically. It can be inspiring that the fact that it's night all the time. If you have a film shot entirely at night, when you have a lot of night hours, that is actually we only have 8 hours of night. Whereas if you have much longer than that, and you have a film that's shot entirely at night, that could be a real asset actually. So I guess it's seeing the positives and negatives and adapting the films accordingly to the territory and being inspired by that as well. That stories should be set here and use those assets rather than make it look like somewhere else.
So be yourself, be original, tell a good story,
Yeah,
and go from there.
you'll be fine. Yeah.
You have a lot of industry experience, and you mentioned the auteur theory. Small countries tend to have tendency to like this kind of artsy art house films more than films for a large audience or films that can be sold. Actually, how can you reason that an audience film is of more value than an artistic, cultural?
I think it is about how you work with the talent and you get them to open up the way that they make movies, and it is about collaborating with people who have some industry experience and say, okay, that's fine if you only want to make films that travel to a few places, but if you really want to make a film that travels wider, you need to collaborate and listen to people who know. And I'm not knocking writers and directors and the auteur theory, but like people need to be, they also need not to be, they need to be interested in the audience. And so I guess what we can do, we have a bigger industry and have, you know, I have personally international experience, is that I'm happy to bring that experience and collaborate with people as long as they're ready to listen. And some people are and some people aren't, and that doesn't matter where they're from. You know, we have people in the UK who think that they're auteurs and they have very small audiences for their films, and I'm not interested in making movies like that. I care about the audience first and foremost, and anyone who's interested in cinema and wants a real career needs to be focused on the audience as well. And that may just be their domestic audience or it may be a wider international audience, and so those are different things sometimes.
From the industry, major industry side of things, I was in Los Angeles. I learned the major industry way of doing things, and I was not able to really get my foot in, as I was somebody from Eastern Europe, really a nobody in a place where there is big fish in a small tank, and everybody's trying to fight in the industry their way in somewhere. What would you say to people who would like to go and make progress in their life? Where would they start?
Well, I think the best thing to do is, I mean, in a way, it's good to get international experience and then take what you learn, and what sometimes you learn more from the negative experiences than you do from the positive experiences. Because often you don't know why something's gone well, but very often you know why something hasn't worked. And so I would say it's better being a big fish in a small pond. It's much better to do that. So, you know, get international experience and bring it home and find and use that, what you have learned, to benefit not just yourself but people you work with, and you can build an industry like that. You can build a company like that, and it's very good to work for other people and get other experience, but it's also really great to work for yourself. And you know, and anyone can do it. And I would say it's always better to stay here and do something and look at what you have, not what you haven't got.
Thank you very much.
Sure, pleasure.
Looks like we can consider you our friend.
Yes, of course.
Estonian community.
Yeah, great. Thank you.